you may be. I thought you were driving.
I wasn't.
Gosh, I wanted you to be driving because what if somebody pulled up next to you and gave you a little honk honk while you're on the air? Where are you pulled over at? As Jay Moore show.
Just outside my office.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sometimes, last couple of weeks I've been in there, but the workout this morning went a little longer, so I'm a little late getting in the office. So
that's a problem I have. So
is it legs day? What were we doing today?
Oh, it's full body every day.
Okay,
full body every day. There's definitely no dumbbells or cleans or squats anymore. It's more kettlebells and bands and stability and flexibility. It's managing all the injuries in the past to make sure they don't happen again.
Okay.
Let's make sure that if you're a defensive guy and you being a black shirt, that Friday night does not happen again. Our conversation last week, you were kind of interested on, was it just Northern Iowa? Because you saw some things out of guys that it shouldn't be happening that happened. And then they played Friday night, and some of those things then happened against a better team. What do you think would be a lesson that was learned by that defense Friday night that can't be repeated or won't be repeated?
Well, I think you can get away with a performance like they had against Northern Iowa because it's Northern Iowa, right? You have to be, when you get the Big Ten play, I don't care who it is. Teams are too good, coaches are too good, that you can't have a slip up. You have to be on point. You have to prepare the right way. Your energy has to be there week in and week out. Otherwise, you're going to get beat and you're going to have bad performances. And you have to – there's just got to come a time that you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like this defense and this team should be there. And it's this time of the season, too, where you spend so much energy and that you go through camp, and then the whole build up to the Colorado game gets here and you perform very well. And part of it is recreating that energy, and you've kind of seen a step back, obviously, since the Colorado game, but you got to be a professional about it, be a pro about it, and approach each week the same way. That's why I've always preached. It doesn't matter if you're playing Northern Iowa, Colorado, Illinois, whatever it is, right? Name some directional school that you should beat. You got to approach every game the same way and have the same energy each week, because if you don't, you're gonna have weeks where the defense had the last couple of weeks where you haven't prepared the right way. The execution wasn't there, and it's not. I don't think it's a physical thing. I think they're not executing. That's just they're not doing the right things week in and week out, Monday through Friday in practice. So hopefully they have learned their lesson. I think it's kind of ironic that, again, this is the Michigan last year, and Michigan was the best team in the country by far last year. But that was the fourth game of the season last year. By far the worst performance by the defense in that fourth game. And they kind of button things up. I hope we see the same kind of bounce back. This is a great time to go on the road and kind of get right. But you got to look yourself in the mirror and just say, hey, we're slipping a little bit, and we got to get everyone back on the boat and rowing the same way, because if we don't, our goals that we have in front of us it's going to be hard to achieve.
I know you've been asked this question on top of what you just said right there. Realistically, from what you've seen, go back to the Northern Iowa game too, where there were some of these things happening. What is the most fixable compared to where concerns could linger just based on personnel, if you will?
Yeah, I don't think it's a personnel issue by any means. I think obviously having Tommy Hill out, but Sierra Wright played his tail off, I thought, on Friday night, filled in nicely. I don't think it's a personnel issue by any means. From a physicality standpoint, now if guys aren't going to do their job and do the necessary things within the defense, and you might have to find someone else. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's just from the run game fits, right? You got those can be cleaned up rather quickly. It just seems like I've used this phrase, I think, a lot this week, and I've always loved John Wooden's phrase is be quick but not in a hurry. Just seems this defense is in a hurry to get the places, and that forces other teammates to be put in bad spots. that puts your safety in bad spots. It puts your linebackers in bad spots. I want to see them be violent, be fast, be quick, but not be like, oh my gosh, I gotta get to this spot. Almost you run yourself out of the play. You put yourself in a bad position to not tackle well, to not fight pressure, to not counter what the offense is trying to do to you. So I think it's just, okay, guys, we got to just take a deep breath, slow down. I think everyone in this defense, I think the effort's there. It's just like, okay, we just got to define and refine what we're trying to do, because there's at times there's just guys are there's too many guys in the same spot. I mean, the overtime play was case in point. The first play, you have Ty Robinson crashing down. Mekhi Bayer comes crashing down next to him. All of a sudden, the edge is shortened, and you got Isaac Gifford and Singleton in a bad spot, right? Where they're like, I don't know. It's too much space to fill. So you just got to kind of define your things. You got to, if you're going to force things inside, you better have an edge defender to set the edge and force things back inside. If you're going to force things to bounce, you better have someone to bounce it to. If you're going to, we call it a spill technique or Ron shouldering, and that's where if there's a puller or a fullback coming to kick you out, you go inside them to force the runner bounce out. Well, there better be someone to spill it to. So you just got to define those things to clean things up in the run game. I think the pass game's fine. The pass rush is there. Quarterbacks are going to get rid of it quickly, but you got to get things cleaned up in the run game. First and foremost, you got to stop the run. Purdue's going to try to run it. That's the only thing they have been able to do this year offensively. So get those things cleaned up, and then this defense will be fine.
Jay Moore joining us, Blackshirt, Big Red Wrap-Up every Tuesday night. Him and Michael are the staples on that show, joined by numerous guests, including a running back last night named Damon Benning. Let's talk about running backs, because the run game has been discussed a bit this week, of Nebraska wanting to be able to run the ball when they want to run the ball. And one team ran the ball successfully in the second half, the other did not. But let's look at running backs in particular, Jay. In your opinion, which running back that currently sees action for Nebraska in that room has the best upside?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think right now I'd have to lean Ramir. Reason being is I think, listen, Dowdell brings that physicality, but Dowdell struggles with vision. I don't think he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield as well. I think Ramir gives you both options. I think Ramir can run physical, he can play with vision, and he's really good catching the ball in the backfield. So I think that gives your best, combo. And also the big thing is you got to be able to protect pass pro. The last play of the overtime, you saw Emmett Johnson. The guy just came right up the middle. I know they were chipping outside most of the game, but you gotta step up and find that guy, right? And it was a 3-on-3 situation. No reason to chip. Let's step up and protect the pocket. Let Dylan step up, and that's one play, and it's magnified because it's the end of the game. But I think Ramir gives you that best option. You want the physicality, and I think Ramir can do that. But you also got to be able to know how to take contact, know how to get skinny in holes, know how to create room for yourself to operate. I love Dowdell's physicality. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that he wants to run someone over, but sometimes it's like, man, you could bounce this thing or cut it one way, or stiff arm and do some things differently. Listen, I think all three guys that you've seen, we haven't seen obviously Gabe Irvin as of late, but all three guys bring an element. Emmett's really good out of the backfield. Dowdell's physical, but I think Ramir just is a nice package that gives you the best of everything, right? All three aspects, and that's pass blocking, running, and catching the ball in the backfield.
So with that said, what would be an ideal role in the current setup for Emmett Johnson?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I think for him, it's secondary, right? It's coming in and giving a spill on some guys, but I also feel like when you have three decent backs, and it's so hard because you want. Listen, I played. I'm talking like I played running back in high school, right? And but it's a feel thing. There's a feel thing that's involved too with all these backs, and you want to have a good feel for how the game's going, how the line's moving, timing with things. And I think sometimes you want to find guys and kind of roll with the hot hand. And I think Dowdell's has been the hot hand as of late. But I think Emmett can come in there, give Ramir, give Dowdell a rest. But he can, like I said, he's able to catch the ball in the backfield. But I think he's just a little bit of a liability in blitz pickup situations. And I think you're going to see teams blitz more often to try to get Dylan a little more uncomfortable in the passing game. So he has to be able to step up and do that. And if you can't, it's hard to play a guy if you can't do that. So I think it's just a secondary role for him. But it's just a game by game, case by case. Who has a hot hand at the moment and who has a feel for the game at the moment, which I think all three guys can get hot and get things going, and especially against a Purdue defense who hasn't been able to stop the run all year.
Jay, with what you heard yesterday, Gary and I were just talking about this a little bit ago about Dylan's name being brought up from the coordinators, the head coach, about matching his overall play. Yesterday, Tony White talks about him, of the freshman quarterback, balling his ass off, putting up 24 points as especially with a lot of veterans in that room too. As a member of the defense, when you hear that, what's your reaction?
Well, we got to play better. We finally, how many years have, we've had good defenses and haven't gotten, decent quarterback play. We've had spurts. Taylor's had his moments. Tommy's had his moments. Adrian's had his moments, but we really just haven't had a consistent quarterback play who's obviously a freshman and the weapons on offense in a long time. And hey, if we can hold teams in to 17 points, 21, whatever it is, right, we're gonna have a damn good chance to win every football game because we have a guy back there taking the snap every play that can do some pretty good things with the football. I mean, he has weapons that he can get to that we haven't had in a few years as well. So it's on them right now. Listen, I know, Damon highlighted last night in the show that they went to, the defense held Illinois to 3 points for 2.5 quarters, but still their ability to run the ball on first down has got to improve as a defense. They averaged 5.5 yards on run the ball on first down. Illinois did. You got to clean that stuff up. And again, it's not, I know it's not about the yards, it's about points. We've heard that for many years by Bo, right? But you got to put yourself in a good situation. You're giving up 5 yards a chunk on first down. Every offensive coordinator, I could call games from 2nd and 5 and be a really good offensive coordinator because you can do whatever you want. So they got to get that cleaned up. But you have an offense that's giving you help, getting you points, doing things we haven't had. You got to go out there and play well. And I think you'll see this team bounce back, the defense bounce back well. I think the leadership, the age, the seniority of this defense will get guys right. But again, you got to take it personal right now because you got the help. If you want to, special teams is special teams, right? But you got the help on offense that we haven't had, and it's on you to get it cleaned up and get off the field, make the plays that need to get made, and get the ball back to your offense as quickly as possible.
So let's stick with offense as Jay Moore joins us, and it's a little bit wonky because of three of the opponents Nebraska played and Rule's philosophy on what he does in the second half in terms of offense. And I don't want to say sitting on the ball, but if they get to 28, hey, we're pretty happy. But they come out and offensively for the first half, they look very prepared. Like everything is on point. Anything the other sideline is given at them, they're able to overcome. But then in the second half, the points are lacking. The success is lacking. Staying on the field is lacking. And granted, it's probably just 1.5 games where you played into the fourth quarter with your main guys. But what can Nebraska do moving forward where they're going to be in 4-quarter games where the offense, which looks so good in the first half, has that same efficiency or at least near it in the second half?
Yeah, it's I've been a part of teams where we've played well in the first half, then we come out in the third half flat, or third half, the second half, third quarter, you come out flat. I mean, football is such a momentum game, especially in the college game where you have a 20-minute half instead of a 12-minute NFL. which I'd love for college football to change that, by the way. I'd love a 12-minute halftime in college football. But it's the momentum is you have it, and it's you go in there, you sit, you grab a Gatorade, a Rice Krispie treat or orange, whatever, an orange slice, and you kind of just go, huh, you take a deep breath. You kind of lose your edge a little bit. But you got to come out. I think the biggest thing it would help Nebraska is just being able to run the ball more successfully in the second half. I think owning the time of possession is a thing that we haven't done a great job of in the second half. Like to see that improved. And obviously that's on the offensive line, and obviously we have injuries, and hopefully Mizuka's back sooner than later to get him that thing kind of shored up. But it's tough, man. A lot of teams struggle coming out in the second half. It's a weird thing. My senior year, we struggled mightily with coming out slow in the third half at Nebraska. Third half. I keep saying third half. In the second half, third quarter. So, like I said, you got to somehow recreate. You got to recreate your energy. But I think running the football, coming out in the second half, is what Nebraska needs to do. And if it's not working, hey, you have some play action stuff dialed up. But get those 3 backs that we've talked about. Get them rocking and rolling. Get your offensive line some confidence. And and tell them, hey, we're relying on you guys. It's up to you now. We're going to own the time possession. We're going to run this football in the second half, and to get what we need to go to gain that momentum and own the time possession, and then get the points that we need to win this football game.
Great stuff. I appreciate the conversation. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more positive conversation next Wednesday. But great insight. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll chat next week.